Here is day 2 of drawing our dog, who we've named Beatrice Esther Tulip. Maybe she needs one more name. And we are going to start today off by flipping her upside down. So I'm going to start off by picking a point to focus on, and I'm going to use Beatrice's nose. So I've outlined Beatrice's nose on the image to sort of show you the shape I'm seeing and trying to duplicate. I'm then noticing that the corners of her eyes are matching up to the edges of her nose. I'm measuring out her nose because her eyes are approximately 2 noses away. I'm using these really simple measuring approximations which help plot out the face. And as long as our face is roughly accurate, this dog is going to look okay. This first attempt at a tutorial did not go as planned. The lighting and reflections are just not working for me. So let's speed this up and give you a basic idea of this approach. Okay, we're done. So let's give Beatrice a look. She looks a little bit more like a greyhound or something. She's a bit elongated, but I'm pretty happy with her considering this was done on a whiteboard with a dry erase marker. And drawing is not my strong suit. Let's go for round 2. Again, I'm starting off by focusing on that nose. It's a nice central point, so I know where everything else is in association to that nose. And I have already measured out that the nose is approximately 2 nose widths away from her eyes, and her eyes are going to start at roughly the corner of where her nose edges are. I'm noticing the roundness of her actual eyeball, followed by an almond shape that is flattened on one side. So that's giving us her eye shape. And the nose has demonstrated where to plot that eye. Her other eye is exactly across from that first eye and follows a very similar shape, a little bit flatter on the one side. Eyes are super important. You have to get them right or your creature will look off. But I'm going to put more detail into that afterwards. I'm moving on to her muzzle, and you see right under her nose, she has this flat M shape. And because of the flower she's holding in her mouth, the edges of her muzzle are kind of funny. I would not have instinctually drawn them this way, so I really had to make sure I was looking at the picture rather than doing what my brain wanted me to do. I'm plotting in her nostrils approximately and a little bit of that shading because I see some dark areas that I don't want to miss, and they're going to help me keep everything else in proportion. Just doing a little cross hatching to identify that shadow in darker area. Plotting out the lower lip, it sort of cuts through halfway through the eyeballs. Noting reference points like that helps me to know how wide the proportions are. I'm going to add in a little bit of shading into my eye, but make sure you're leaving a highlight. Anytime you're doing an eye, even if the highlight is in the wrong place, leave a highlight. If you don't have a highlight in those eyes, they are going to look super dead and super dull. So now I'm going to plot in that neck area Again, my brain does not feel like this is right, but I'm following the guide of the picture. And here's an example of me not following the picture. I did what my brain wanted to do rather than what I'm actually seeing. The edge of Beatrice's face is much closer to her eye than I want to put it. You really have to trust the process. The side of her face is meeting up with where the lip left off. Take your time, but also don't overthink these things too much. This is our first layer, and you can fix things up after you have flipped Beatrice over. So the top of her head is actually up a bit from where the side of her face line is. And then that's going to extend into her ears. Her ears are so adorable and floppy, and I'm just focusing on the approximate shape. Don't worry about the texture or the shadows for now. Just get that rough shape plotted in. The second ear is blocked a little bit by that flower, so we do have to use our estimation as to what it looks like. She has those V lines which establish her neck, but we do need to put this head onto a body as well. And while we're thinking about the ears and body, let's plot in our tulip. Leaves are a great time to practice what you're seeing versus what you want the leaf to look like. This does not need to be perfect. The focus is going to be on the dog, not on the flower. So just plot that flower in there, no matter what it looks like. The last thing I want to do before I flip her over is to shade in this nose a little bit, just because I know it's going to ground the whole image. I really encourage you to really trust this process and not flip the dog over until you're at this final stage. So let's see how I did. Hey, hi there, Beatrice. And now that we have Beatrice finished, we're just going to finish up with adding in some texture and value. I'll speed this process up.